Hello, folks. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Edu Steps powered by Laddering Your Success. As always, I'm Olay Shorunke here with good friends, Festus Amoye, co-founder of Laddering Your Success. How you doing today, Festus?
Good. Doing really well.
Wonderful. We also have the good Dr. Jamarc Crawford. How you doing today, Dr. Crawford?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. As always, thank you for bringing in your expertise and your words of wisdom with us. So, folks, you've circled the campuses, you've booked the tours, and you've packed your walking shoes. But let's be honest, college tours are a performance. So what are they not telling you? And how do you look beneath the surface? Well, that's what we're planning on breaking down this episode. We're going to break down how to approach your college visits with clear eyes, deeper questions, and a game plan that works. So for those of you, if this is your first time listening to Edu Steps, we use our be no do process to answer every issue or to deal with everything that we talk about regarding students, right? So that's being, what are your values, principles, and characteristics? Knowing, where are the resources around me and how do I get access to them? And doing, how do I take who I am and what I know and execute a plan with excellence? So let's start off with being. Before you visit any campus, you got to stop and reflect. Who am I becoming? What do I value in a community, in learning, and in life? Being is about clarity. College isn't about being impressed. It's about alignment. That's something that I hear Festus talk a lot about, especially with these young people in regards to post-high school steps. Know what matters to you before they try to sell you what matters to them. Whether it's support systems, culture fit, or access to mentors, decide what really counts before you step onto the quad. This is how you protect yourself from marketing and find a school that fits you, not the other way around. So my first question for the squad is, what three values must your future college honor and support? And how can you tell if they actually live those values?
Hey, you want to hit that up first?
I would say three values. The first value is looking at their academic excellence in the sense of looking at their graduation rate. How do they help their students on their journey? What resources do they provide to actually help students into their goals, whether that's graduation or so on and so forth? Another value that I could think of off the top of my head would be inclusivity and community. What programs do they have for students to build community that can also help them with learning other skills that are transferable? And also, what kind of services do they have for student well-being? Oftentimes, college can definitely be a very stressful moment for students. So do they have any resources to help students in their well-being, mentally or even physically?
I like where you went there, and I'll chime in on that too. You made a very good point about what resources, that are aligned to academic excellence, but then also inclusivity. So if they have fraternities and sororities, but they're exclusive, that may mean that even though those things are on campus, they might not embrace you, especially if they have a process that does not honor values you already hold dear. So a big thing that's happening with like older generation is people defecting from some of their fraternities and sororities because of some of the rituals that they had to partake in to become, a brother or sister in whatever the fraternity or sorority is. So that's something to think about as a student, right? I'm gonna break that down. I'm gonna give it hood language just so that we all on the same page. If they don't respect where you're coming from, then maybe that place isn't for you. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. And so a lot of times if you're coming in maybe from a faith community or you're coming in from some other kind of socioeconomic class, if they don't respect where you're coming from, you might feel alienated. You might feel like you ain't a part of what's going on there. And so that's something to really think about. I think some of the other things to think about is not just the graduation rates, but also the alumni. Who's some notable alumni to have come through there, and what are those alumni doing today? And then how engaged are those alumni on campus? So, if you go, for example, I went to a PWI and it's like, oh, well, how how engaged or engaging are they to people who are not like them? Over time, that school has become much, much more diverse. And so the real challenge then becomes, if you're the new kid on the block, how do you handle that? Because a lot of times, if you're a first generation student, you might be the first one walking through a certain door. And so you might face certain challenges, meaning, let's say, for example, you go and this is a real life example. So on our campus, they had started alphas and AKAs. And so the thing is, on a PWI campus that started to be, and it's a private college, so that's just totally different. And so you're not going to get the same numbers in those organizations as you would going to a HBCU. And so the thing is, the HBCU might embrace the culture of those organizations, but on the flip side, they might not have the academic success. And so these are things that you got to think through. You know what I mean? So you go to HBCU, they got notable alumni, but are those notable alumni engaged on campus, or are they just names? And so these are all things you got to think through when you go visit a campus.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Much, much more than just like website, going over the website and different things like that. It's going to take a lot more of like in-depth research, and you doing a lot more of the groundwork, that footwork, to answer some of those questions. As y'all were talking, I came up with 3, knowing what I know now, what I would look for, 3 values that my college honor should support. And the 3 that came to my mind were honesty, effort, and loyalty. And in regards to how I can tell if they actually live those values, in regards to honesty, are you telling me what I want to hear, or are you telling me what I need to hear? I think a lot of times with a lot of schools, they tend to push students into particular fields instead of actually listening to the students. I know that from my work now, that if you ask the right questions, people will tell you exactly what's going on. And so are they telling you what you want to hear, or are they telling you what you need to hear? In regards to effort, are they challenging you, right? Are they pushing you in a safe way? Are they pushing you to work harder to get to a certain place, right? Are they holding you accountable to your word? And lastly, loyalty. How do people who have left the school feel about their experience after graduating? I think that gives you a great sign as to the loyalty, as to what Festus mentioned earlier, right? One of the things, especially in a lot of, from what I've seen, a lot of HBCUs, homecoming is such a wonderful thing. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a homecoming, right? And so you can tell a lot about that.
Hey, LYS fam. It's Olay. Thanks so much for listening to LYS. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to the parents. That's right, mom and dad. Parents, prepare your child for their best educational fit after high school with our comprehensive LYS Parents Guidebook. Our helpful guide includes a range of activities designed to help you better understand your child's unique gifts and abilities. Additionally, we provide valuable insights into the student loan debt crisis and offer practical tips on how to avoid accumulating large amounts of debt. Our ebook also includes a wealth of information on scholarships, grants, and payment exemptions that can help guide your child towards a bright and successful future. With our expert guidance, you can rest assured that your child is well prepared to make informed decisions about their education and career path. Don't let your child's future be in jeopardy. Invest in their future today by downloading the LYS Parents Guidebook. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to the show, because it's some good topics.
All right. Just wanted to say a quick welcome to our good friend, the one and only Daniel Hill. Daniel, how you doing today, brother?
Good, and y'all. What's up, Festus? You silly. Not the hand clap. I'm good. How y'all boys doing, man?
I'm the clap.
We good. One thing about Daniel, he may not show up when you want him, but he always on time.
The true saints. I'm walking.
Love it, man. So let's jump into the knowing portion, right? For a lot of our students, tours are polished, right? They give it a lot of glitz and glamour, a lot of diamond, a lot of fancy things as you go on those tours. But you're here to read between the lines, right? If you're here with ladder your success, it's more than just looking at what they're giving you. It's reading in between the lines. So a couple things I want you to think about, questions to ask yourself and to ask those as you go on these tours. What percent of grads get jobs in their field within 6 months? How available are mental health and academic support services? Dr. Crawford mentioned that earlier. What's the average student debt upon graduation? How diverse is the faculty? How diverse is the leadership? How often do undergrads get access to real research? Here's what to look for. Are students alert, rushed, burned out, or relaxed? Are academic and support centers visible or hidden? Do tour guides answer honestly or sidestep through questions? Do students seem involved or just surviving? Knowing is active. It's about noticing the culture of the campus, not just the architecture. So my second question for the squad is, what questions should every student ask on a tour? And what red flags should they be listening for in those answers?
I would say that on the first thing the student should ask is about academics and teaching, like how accessible are the professors outside of class? That's really, really important. I guess a red flag and a response with that will be is if they're not telling you the policy of the campus and they say, oh, it depends, like a vague answer, because access to professors outside of classroom, that's something that is like really, really important. Another question would be about student support, and that could be, what is the student to counselor ratio or the student to academic advisor ratio? Those two positions have two different fields, like the counselor are the ones that help with mental health and things of that nature, and academic advisors help with the students' career pathways. Those are important because how often or how quick can the student get to that person if they need help, or the academic advisors or the counselors, are they overwhelmed because it's a large ratio of students to the academic advisors or the counselors that they have for those particular services? Again, red flag net will be vagueness in the answer, right? If they can't give you an approximate ratio, then that's a red flag right there. Another, I would say, would be about worst case scenario. Like, tell me about the biggest recent campus controversy and how did administration handle it? Like something like that, so you can know how the institution moves to support the students or handle emergencies on the campus, especially when student safety is very, very important. And if they give an answer like telling you what you want to hear, oh, we don't have those kind of problems and things of that nature, that's not answering the question, right? Because there's no such thing as a perfect institute. Things do happen, but it's more important of how the school handled it and ensured safety of all the stakeholders, students and professors, so on and so forth.
I think that's a good point. I think what I would add on to that is, what is campus life like when school is not in session? It's a big one. And then what is campus life like on the weekends? So a lot of times, a lot of people don't realize that some of these colleges that are very popular are college towns, meaning that that whole town is based around that college. And so if you're a first gen student and you want to go to, let's say, for example, Alabama, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to pick on them, whatnot, whatever. You have to ask yourself, what else is in Alabama, right? What you doing on the weekends? What job can you get off campus, right? What are students doing on the weekends? And a lot of times that'll give you a good indication of how much support you're going to have when class is not in session. And so everything could be nice and busy, but then next thing you know, on the weekends, people are cow tipping and, and bottle swigging, you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden it's like, I've picked up bad habits. You see what I'm saying? Because that environment wasn't a conducive environment. And so, especially when class is not in session. So let's say, for example, if you have to, maybe you don't have enough money to get home and you're thinking, man, I'm gonna just go ahead and stay Thanksgiving, or I'm gonna just go ahead and stay over this little short holiday weekend. Well, what is life like then? Are you going to be able to get to food? Are you going to be able to get to, wash your clothes, different types of things like that. And so those, I think, are key indicators of support in terms of our campus tour and in terms of things that, you might want to consider if you're going to a different campus. So like, for example, here in Houston, we got a lot of commuter schools. So because they're commuter schools, people, they get out of Dodge when the weekend comes. And so you might be left on campus thinking, man, ain't nobody really here like that. But really they're down the street because they just drive in and drive out. So these are all things that you have to consider and that play a role into your overall cost of education too. So I'll go ahead and pause right there. It was D Hill.
No, I mean, both of them was good.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. If there's one thing I love, it's something free. I'm talking free 99, un gratis. No shipping or handling fees, no gotcha fees, nothing like that. With that being said, if you're graduating soon or thinking about college or need a nudge or help to decide, then our free ebook, 10 Things to Think About Before Going to College, has a very balanced and open-minded way of presenting your next steps. It captures broad topics in a personal way by giving students an insightful, interactive, and reflective source of inspiration. It is very beneficial to be able to visualize some of the concepts after high school and apply them directly to you. We all know life, college, and career planning decision-making choices for students can be challenging, especially as they near the completion of high school. This book will provide you with a self-paced guide to your success beyond academics and into real life. Not only is it free, you can complete this book within a week. This will definitely prepare you for long-term success. To get your free copy, simply go to lys.com/students. I mentioned it was free, right? Well, if I didn't, it's free. Like, for real, for real. Okay, back to the podcast.
The prophets over there speaking over there, man. They prophesying over there. Hey, I was going to say, he said the cost. That's what I was going to speak on. You need to find out the cost and how long it takes. Like some people might have programs where the bachelor's degree and they have, I forget, was in Mississippi where they had something where it was like what the process you would get your nursing and your bachelor's degree all at once, so it'd be short time, or would it take me 6 or 7 years to get this degree? And also like he was talking about what's going on campus, like afterwards, like are there things that you can help with your career? Like ask the school, like, do y'all help people find, like I think with the Rice and they help people find internships? Does your school allow help find internships? Or like you just graduate and hope for the best? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, do you have organizations that actually I want to be involved in? But I don't know how people go to school. When I went to school, I kind of knew where I wanted to be. So I guess like that's the main thing. Some folks like y'all who might help me in my progress. Is there something like LYS help me in my progress? Help me understand if I'm on the right course or not. And somebody like, I think Crawford said, have a good, guidance counselors, and you said something like that, Crawford? I guess like somebody like or people you can actually talk to and get a hold to, because if this ain't the right thing for me, then I'm just wasting my time.
I love it. Great points. As we were talking, I thought about my last, when I graduated from Midwestern State University. And I'm sure that there was a period, right? So you're in school from this point to this point, and then the day of the graduation or the day before the graduation, you're technically no longer a student, right? And I'll never forget, I was still living on campus, right? Because I was still gathering my things so I could drive back home, but I wanted to work out. I was still playing basketball at the gym. And so I'll never forget, I took my ID and I went to the gym and I gave it to them so they could scan it. And they said, we can't let you in. It's not letting you in. And I said, what? I just graduated yesterday. And they're like, yeah, I guess since you graduated, you're like no longer considered a student. And I'll never forget what I said. And I didn't hesitate one bit. I said, but I'm an alumni. Like, I just said it like, I was just like, I'm an alumni. Yeah. I still don't, I was just here. Like, what do you mean? And so I think that who was like, no, you're good, man. You're good, man. You come here all the time. I was like, thank you. But the lady in the front was like, no, he can't come. And I looked at her, I was like, this is crazy. So it kind of hit for me when that happened, that like, okay, it's a little different. It's really, you're not, once you're out, you're out. So I just thought about that as we were talking. In regards to red flags. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think those type of things again are the major red flags
Yeah.
because that just shows the schools just after your coins while they could get it. And so, to me, and this is a big debate with HBCUs, is okay, we go great culture, but then how do you support after I graduate? So, you get a letter, hey, let's get, donate back to the HBCU, but I couldn't get a job. You didn't hook me up with no alumni network. Yeah, we had a great time at homecoming, but what
Yeah.
else? And then even while I'm still here on campus, just a week after I graduate, I can't even use the facilities.
Come on.
So it's a big deal.
But that's the beauty of this conversation. That's the beauty of this conversation is think about these things because you're not going to be there forever. Eventually, you're going to be in the real world. So ask these questions early on so you don't deal with these issues that some of us have dealt, right? In regards to red flags, as you're asking people, campus tour guides, usually campus tour guides are students. One of the things I thought about was a red flag for me is a very short answer. If I ask about mental health services and someone says, oh, they're good. Okay, what's good about them? Just like if you say they're good, what's good? Have you used them? No. Then why do you say they're good? Right? If you're intending on going to a particular college or going into particular field, right? College of Engineering, College of Liberal Arts, Design, whatever, make sure you talk to kids who are in that program or in that, in that field at that time and ask them how their experience is. It's one thing to ask a student who's going to business school, but you're over here in the, poli-sci area, talk to someone who's actually in the area you're thinking about being in. So we're headed towards segment 3, doing. Once the tour ends, that is when the real work begins. First, debrief yourself, right? What surprised you about your tour? What did or didn't feel right? Next, connect. Reach out to a current student, not the one given the tour, right? Look Reddit, check Reddit, blogs, DM a student club, ask what would you change about your school? Then reach out to faculty, especially in your intended major. Ask to see a syllabus or hear how students do research and get mentorship. Finally, one of the most important things you can do is you can use LYS's 7 domains to help you understand if it's the right fit for you. That's culture, education, financial, health, social, spiritual, and vocation. Ask, can I see myself here when things get hard? Not just when the weather's good or the quad is busy. Doing means reflection, action, and following up with wisdom, not just emotion. So my final question for the squad is, what one action should a student take after every tour to assess fit beyond the surface?
I think that what they will need to do is right after the tour, go towards area where they're by themselves so then they can then debrief. What I mean by that is us as human beings, we easily get factuated by things that sound good. Just like when us as adults, when we're looking for a partner and we meet somebody, we're attracted and we see all these great things in this person and we have this infatuation, right? And it's the honeymoon phase type of thing. So we're going on these tours, most likely the tour guide is telling us all the wonderful things about these institutions. So what we got to do is actually take the time to sit down and see that, put our excitement to the side and actually think about certain things, like observe and listen. Look at how the students are genuinely interacting. The current students are genuinely interacting with one another. Look at the announcements that are posted. Like, does the school have up-to-date events for any kind of groups for student life on campus? And just see, I think you mentioned something about, I don't know how you worded it, Olay, but can you see yourself struggling there based on the resources that they have available? That if I get into some kind of situation, are there resources that are readily available to me to get the help that I need? And really, really look at these things and look beyond the advertisement of the tour guide and things of that nature, so we can really see what's real instead of the presentation that's supposed to be exciting, you know? And also think about what is one realistic resource that I learned about that particular institution offers that I can actually use.
Great points. Great points. I love those.
Yeah, actually, kind of like what Crawford. Yeah, actually, like what Crawford says, pretty much just sit back down and reflect over what you've learned from them people, writing the pros and the cons. That's all you really have to do. Like Wade Crawford said, can I see myself here? Can I not see myself here? What work? What won't work? Because if you got a whole list of, like you said, like you walk in there and all the glamour, everything you see, I think you said the honeymoon phase. That's what he said. You see all the goodness, but then you start breaking down all the information. You be like, you know what? I might not need to stay in this. This might not work. This might not be good. This is not the business, my guy. So that's the best way to do it. Just go somewhere, sit back, reflect, write down the pros and cons, and be like, you know what? I don't think going to this $40,000 a year school is worth it. I might need to go to somewhere like U of H, which is 11,000. I was just looking at schools now since y'all was talking. It's crazy in the same state how U of H, which I like Texas A&M and all that stuff, but you talking about 30,000 versus 11,000. That's a big difference, bro. So you gotta sit back and reflect: is it worth the cost or not?
Definitely. That's a great point. That's a third right there per year. All right. Festus, did you have anything you want to drop in before we closed out?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. So, folks, remember, college is more than a nameplate on your hoodie, and your future deserves more than a rehearsed tour script. Use the being, knowing, doing method to get the full story, because behind every campus is a culture, and behind every choice is your future, right? So, for Festus, for Dr. J, Jamarc Crawford, for Daniel Hill, my name is Olay Shorunke. Thank you so much for joining us on this latest episode of Edu Steps. If you found this information beneficial or helpful, please be sure to send it with a friend. If you're a counselor or a parent hearing this out, please send this out. Please send this out to a couple students. Wherever you're listening or watching, make sure you like and subscribe and comment. If you have a disagreement, if you have a different take, or if you love what we're doing, please be sure to interact with us so we can interact right back with you. Festus, go ahead and give us a phrase that pays.
So listen, y'all, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no legitimate excuse for not getting an education. Again, if you like what you heard, hit that like button. If you know somebody who needs to hear this, hit the share button. And if you think, man, this episode was fire, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon. And in that way, you can get a reminder every time we post.
All right. Y'all take care now.